What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Yes, a hobby darling of a topic. Card trimming. An interesting one here. Evan Mathis, former professional football player, went on the old TikTok machine and basically gave a full tutorial on how to trim cards, how he does it. Has been a well-established card trimmer in the past, hashtag allegedly. But it has brought this to light again. We see Card Porn himself did a post about this, calling out PSA, Beckett, and SGC to review records of cards he submitted. Now, that brings us to today's topic. And I'm going to, once again, we like to paint with broad brushes around here. So don't everyone get their panties in a twist. Or boxers. No judge here. Do we care? Do we actually want to know? Do we really want to know if our card that is potentially graded by whatever, insert any three-letter acronym here, is trimmed or not? Do we really want PSA, Beckett, SGC, CSG, HGAs, ISAs, ECGers to dig into their records and look at everything that they've ever submitted and deactivate those certification numbers? One, it's not quite, I mean, let's be honest here. Seriously speaking, it's not that simple. They could have legitimately submitted plenty of cards that were not trimmed. They could have submitted plenty that were. But without the card in hand, reevaluating it, this, that, the other thing. One, this will never happen. The grading companies will never go back and do this because it probably opens way too much of a can of worms on a path that they do not want to go down and a path that they don't want to send the hobby down, because we place the slabs up on a altar. They are perfect. They are untouchable. They are unapproachable. And once you crack that illusion of maybe we didn't get that one quite right, the house of cards, no pun intended, would tumble down around them, potentially. But that is the ultimate question of the day today. Do we really want to know? I am sure there are hobby purists out there that 100% would sit around a coffee table or around the National or around a social gathering and say, yes, absolutely. This is the most evil thing in the world. I want to know that my cards are pure and untouched, and they are a worthy sacrifice to the Kraken. But I have a feeling most people would say, hey man, PSA and Beckett said it's good. That's good enough for me. If they couldn't catch it, is it really trimmed? Even if it is. Why? For the same thing that we talk about all the time. The hobby and life in general. We are a bunch of greedy bastards. And we care more, once again, broad brush. We care more about the value associated with a card and not affecting that value than we do about the legitimacy of the piece of cardboard in the actual plastic holder. I mean, we prove it every day when we've talked about this before, when it comes down to why does a PSA 10 sell for more than the other grading companies? Because it's worth the most. It's the dumbest thing, but it's as simple as that. We care more about the value associated with the product, the card, the box, the comic book, than the actual thing itself. And if we need to cut a little corners, once again, not literally, but I guess you could take it literally here in this case. I guess we go both ways on this one. If we need to cut a little corners, you need to cut a corner here, cut a corner there, cheat a little bit, get some elbow grease in there, get some rub down on the card, get some scissors, get some snips. Hey man, if the grading company don't catch it, it's not altered. It's not messed with. It's not monkeyed around with. Go with God. Slab that puppy up. PWCC that bad boy. Golden auctions, eBay, whatever. To the moon. I would have to imagine that, and maybe I'm jaded, maybe I'm cynical, that most people in the sports card world don't actually want to know if their insert grading company here, vintage card, even modern cards. We saw them. They were messing around with Contenders football a couple years ago, cleaning up edges and stuff on that product. If it gets past the grading company and they say it's good to go, did it ever happen? It's the old, if the tree fell in the woods, does it make a sound if no one's around to hear it? If the card trimmer trims the card and grading company whatever slabs it, did it actually happen? Was the card actually trimmed? I mean, obviously it was, but hey man, once it says 3-letter acronym 10 on there, or 9-5 or 9 or whatever the case might be, that's all we really care about, right? And listen, at a base level, when it comes down to this stuff, card trimming is pretty disgusting, in all honesty. Like, brass tacks, you should not be trimming cards. You should not be submitting trimmed cards to grading to to commit fraud. I do not believe that card trimming is something that should occur in the hobby, just to get that stance out of the way. Card cleaning, a little bit different story there. I've talked about that in the past. Cleaning off a chrome card with some stuff. I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to that. I think that has more to do with my association with the comic book world, where that stuff is just more common. You could do a lot more stuff to clean and prep a comic book before submitting to grading, and it is perfectly fine. Now, you can't trim a comic. That's a no-no. That'll get you the old perp label. We'll get the purple label on that one. But as, when I had Peter on months ago from SGC, when it comes to card cleaning, it's really quite simple, as I think they have a hard time catching it in a lot of cases, because you clean a chrome card with a product, that product is no longer on the card by the time they get it. It's been wiped off, dried off, whatever. There's really no way for them to test it or to check it. I'm sure there's a way, but once again, we're not going all CSI Las Vegas Gil Grissom up in here to detect if someone used a little wax polish on a Zion Silver or Zion Silver Prism. So, but card trimming's back. Do we want the grading companies to dig into this? Do we really? I think some people do. Hey, go for it, man. Go for it. You know how much content I'd get out of that? Oh my goodness. The YouTube content creators, we would have I'd have to take a month off my real job. If they actually did this and start decertifying numbers and all this and that, the controversy that would cause, oh boy. And I'm not saying that they should or they shouldn't. I'm just saying it's never going to happen. I'd be shocked if it actually happened. It's cool to get out there and white knight it and say they should, but let's be real here. They are not going to be the first. The house of cards might fall. The grading companies aren't going to pull the card from the bottom of the foundation to cause it to collapse. They're not going to be the ones to do it. And like I said, do we really want to know? Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.